Without realizing, your 20s have become a to-do list. Somewhere along the way of wanting to better yourself and start a self-improvement journey, you fell into the to-do-listification of your 20s.
Here's a list of everything I did in my 20s that scared the absolute hell out of me.
I will be a millionaire by the end of 2020.
5 financial milestones that you should aim to reach before you turn
work
30.
in any industry.
For example,
You're gonna get $100,000 by the time I'm 25.
Two things.
There's some ages to
Here,
reach these goals.
and you need a
It's a lot. The longer your to-do list, the more pressure you put on yourself. Because if we're being really honest with ourselves, what's bigger than your desire to achieve is honestly your fear of falling behind. That feeling when you open up Instagram and yet another person has bought a home. Or that feeling when you're scrolling through LinkedIn and you feel like nothing you do compares. I'm Christina, a doctor, creator, and coach living in the UK, and I help people become more of themselves. And today I'm unpacking the to-do listification of our 20s. You know that SpongeBob meme where SpongeBob has like this really long list, or it might even be Squidward, I think, as this really long list? That is how sometimes I picture like our 20s. But sometimes it feels very easy to lose track of the fact that, is this list entirely things I want to do, or is this just things that I put on the list so I don't feel behind? On this channel, I know we are equal part ambitious as we are intentional and thoughtful. We don't just want the success and the house and everything that comes with it. We want to make sure that we're happy along the way. And so sometimes I think we have to take a look at our goals and think, is this truly for me, or is this truly so I don't feel behind? Let's begin by looking at this mountain. Imagine these are your 20s. You've got ups, you've got downs, you've got dips, you've got peaks. Where would you say you are right now? Would you say you're like heading in the right direction, or you're not quite there yet? You're down after a huge knockback? I guess you could argue it depends on the area, and in this video I'm planning to touch on relationships, friendships, career, finances, like a whole range of things which often cause us a lot of stress in our 20s. I think a good place to start is relationships. I'm sure most people on their to-do list of their 20s have something along the lines of get into a healthy relationship, get into a stable relationship, a non-monogamous, non-toxic, healthy, supportive, mutually compatible relationship. You want someone that compliments you but isn't the same as you. You want someone that supports you but doesn't push you. You want someone that challenges you but doesn't devalue you. Relationships are a funny one in your 20s because you're very much still learning yourself. I listened to this incredible podcast by Matthew Hussey a while back where he spoke about how relationships are honestly like the great equalizer almost of a lot of people. Like in a lot of areas of your life, you have so much control. If you want to level up in your career, level up your fitness, level up your finances, level up a lot of things, you can put in the work. You can go on LinkedIn, learn to code, build some skills. You can network with people, apply for jobs, go to interviews. Like you are in somewhat of control to level up your own life in a lot of areas. However, when it comes to relationships, we almost have no control.
I think it's really, really important that we acknowledge that our love lives is an area where we feel a painful lack of control. Our love lives aren't Monopoly, where we just keep accumulating houses and hotels and we just keep building this wealth bank. It's not a savings account. It's chutes and ladders. You feel like you make a load of progress and then someone breaks up with you and you shoot right the way back down to what feels like the beginning again. And that can happen to someone who has been in a 10-year relationship that they thought was going to be the relationship of their life. They thought that was going to be the relationship they built a family in. And then all of a sudden at 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, they find themselves on their own again.
And so I remember in this podcast, I might have to include a clip of it, but he was just saying how like this is the one area of your life where you literally have no control. And for a lot of people, this is why it's honestly so painful and so frustrating, because no matter how hard you try in any other area to make yourself look better or seem better or be more impressive, it almost doesn't quite translate to being more dateable or being more of like a quality partner. And I think, to be honest, for a lot of people, this is probably I don't want to say trap, but this is maybe a trap you fall into in your 20s where you think, oh, let me lose weight and then I'll be more likely to find a partner, or let me just read all these books on dating, relationships and communication. Then I'll be more knowledgeable, more emotionally intelligent. Like you can do so much work. You can go to therapy. There is so much work you can do. And sure, I guess that does make you more accessible to a higher quality partner because you've almost upskilled yourself. But your own skills and your own development is the only thing you have control over when it comes to dating. That and like the number of dates you go on. Like obviously the more dates you go on, the more higher your chances. But because you are so out of control, it's almost an area of your life that you have to like be so like, you have to cut yourself so much slack, because you could be the most qualified single 29-year-old out there and still be single. Like it's not your fault. You've not done anything wrong. Dating and the people out there, the people in the single market, the people on Hinge, that is entirely out of your control. I'm sure many other people have on their to-do list something along the lines of have a good group of friends, go on vacations, go to weddings, be someone's bridesmaid. Your 20s are really interesting because for the first time in your life, your friendships are no longer made by convenience or proximity. They're now made by choice. And you're almost going to see who sticks around and who doesn't stick around by how much effort they put in. Like that's almost what your friendships in your 20s are defined by. Maybe even 30s as well. Like if it was put down to one word, it would be effort. Because your friend is no longer the girl you're sat next to in your maths lesson. Or it's no longer the person you walk home with after school. It's now entirely up to you. It's entirely up to your choice. Because if you've not already had a friendship breakup in your, say, late teens, you're definitely going to have one in your 20s. And I'm not even saying that to be negative. I just mean some friendships you have literally just fizzle out. I think most of my friendships that have ended have just been like they fizzled out. Like we live just so far away now. We don't talk anymore. Friendship breakups are never easy. One for me that comes to mind was just a friendship group that was honestly the picturesque friendship group you'd think was like what you dream of. Like it was what I dreamed of. I remember becoming a part of that group and thinking like, oh my God, now I'm part of a big group of people now. Like this is what I've always wanted. I was someone who was normally on my own all the time, like very much an introvert. And I still am to this day. I love my own company. But it was a thing I dreamed of, like to be in part of a group. As the years went by and I spent time with this group, I just realized that like I'm very, like my values are just not there. Like the values that I have are on like that page and the value that they have are on a different page in a different book. Like the values are just not valuing. Values in particular, I feel like are a topic that can be quite confusing whenever you bring them up because it's like, what actually are my values? By the way, if you're wondering where this is all from, this is all in my quarter life clarity workbook. Essentially, while planning this video, doing some journaling, doing some deep diving on the internet, I put together a whole bunch of questions, journal prompts, and exercises to help you gain clarity on this very confusing, overwhelming time in your life. There's a whole bunch of values listed there, and I feel like seeing them all there helps you pick out exactly which ones are yours. Like for me, I know a big value for mine is authenticity, growth, certainty, and I guess like development. And I remember back then I still had very much people pleaser tendencies. I found it so difficult to know how to bring it up. And I kind of did that thing. And I think this happens in relationships as well, where you've like mentally broken up with them, but you're kind of just still sticking around because you don't know how to say it or how to word it, or you don't want to hurt their feelings. I was just staying there. I didn't know how to say that, guys, I just don't like how you talk about people. I don't like how you're showing up. I don't like a lot of things. And sometimes we have good times. Sometimes there's like fun times. We get along. I just generally I don't feel myself around you and I don't feel happy. But who wants to hear that? Who wants to hear that you're friends with someone and all of a sudden they say, oh, I don't feel happy around you. I don't like being around you. Like that is why I just stuck around for so long. But when I did eventually pluck up the courage, and I remember it didn't happen in the most healthy or convenient way. It was kind of like, I don't want to say after an argument, but it was after definitely like a fallout. And I was like, okay, now's the time. Things are on the rocks anyway. Let me just end it. And I remember afterwards just feeling so much relief. And then also just like, okay, I can definitely do this in a better, more healthy, proactive way next time. Like if I can do this, I can do it again. Another reason why friendships can be really tough to navigate in your 20s and why you sometimes feel perpetually behind is because you rarely have friendship role models. When it comes to relationships, some people might have a relationship role model, like your parents have been together long-term, marriage, committed for like 20 years. Or maybe you just know someone that's been very happily married for a long time. Or you know someone that's been in a happy relationship. They're not married, but they're just happy together. Like you might have a relationship role model or you might not. However, when it comes to friendships, I feel like that's even more rare. Like it's quite rare that we think, oh yeah, my mum and her friends, they're all positive and happy and healthy. And do you know, like, or like your cousin has a positive, happy, healthy group of friends. Like we don't often know people that closely to know what their friendship dynamics look like. And so then to even have like a positive friendship role model, not a lot of us have. So we're honestly just guessing what would be the ideal friendship situation, whether it be a pack of people, like 5-6 people who are all friends, or whether it's being an introvert, not having many friends, and your friends are just scattered all over the place. And I think the reason why this is such an urgent thing for us, or maybe not urgent, but important thing for us, like it is really important for us to meet more people. And it's really nerve-wracking when we can recognize how lonely we are because we don't have that many friends, or we're not where everyone else is for valid reason. Honestly, the longest study that Harvard ever did was a research paper on happiness. And what they eventually found out was that the single most number one contributing factor to how happy people are as they get older in life is the quality of their relationships. They essentially found that close relationships and social connections are one of the biggest factors determining our well-being as we age. And it's tough to learn the hard way in your 20s that this is no longer easy and default and just convenient with who you're sitting next to in your classes. It's now completely in your hands, and you have to be so proactive. You have to put in, honestly, more effort than you think. And now, another thing that we all put on our to-do list of what we should achieve in our 20s, probably the bulk of the list, to be honest, the bulk of the to-do list: careers, finances, money, success. And for the most part, I'm sure we can all agree that we have at least aimed, strived for, or hoped for getting a good, well-paying job in our 20s. And part of me was thinking, like when I was planning this video, I was thinking, when you're younger and you're like 13, 14, 15, like the way you impress your friends is either by, being the smart one, or if you weren't, it was either kind of like by having like the coolest trainers or having like the latest bag. Back when I was growing up, it was like Michael Kors was the bag, or like the Nike Blazers. God knows what it is now. But like that was how you'd impress your friends. Like you walked into school, you had a pair of Nike Blazers, or you had like a Michael Kors. Whereas now, I feel like the way you impress your friends, you impress your family, you impress the people at your age group is with your lifestyle. Like it's the car you're driving, it's the job you have, it's your disposable income, the amount of holidays you're going on each year, like the things you do for fun. Like maybe still it is the bags, actually, now that I think of it. Like I guess because bags and clothing, consumer goods comes into lifestyle. But just like back then when we were kids, like you would feel a bit down when yet another person had another Michael Kors and you don't, and you're the only one left out, and you'd feel a little bit like behind. Nowadays, you still get that very same feeling of being behind when you see yet another person on LinkedIn getting a promotion, or you see another person buy a house, you see another person excelling in their career, even though like you're genuinely, if they're your friend, you're genuinely happy for them. If they're a stranger, you're like, ugh, and why am I so behind? What am I doing wrong? It used to be you were doing a good job and you're cool if you had the trainers and you had the bags. But now we've shifted from I'm impressive because of what I have to now I'm impressive because of who I am. Now you're impressive if you get to say, oh, I'm an investment banker, or I work in Canary Wharf, I work in Manhattan, I'm a doctor, I'm a surgeon, I'm a police officer, what fill in the blank, essentially. And I think for a lot of modern people in their early 20s now, or I guess a lot of Gen Z and millennials now, you're at this war with yourself almost sometimes, where I for myself know for sure, like I definitely want a career where I'm happy and I enjoy myself, but then stability and earnings are really important to me as well, because I don't want to be homeless on the side of the street just because I'm doing something purposeful and that I love. I would like to make a living at the same time and have enough money to pay rent in a decent area, or save up and have some savings. Like it's important for me to love what I do, but I also want to be paid while doing it. And I think this informs a lot of our career decisions. Fulfillment and satisfaction are key, and they're not something that we're willing to compromise on just for the sake of earnings. I think there's some generations before us that probably maybe would have stayed in a career 40, 50, 60 years, whether they enjoyed it or not. But for a lot of us, I feel like the reason why we job hop definitely is to improve your earnings, but also for the sake of enjoyment as well. Being in a well-paying job alone isn't enough in itself to stick around. Satisfaction and fulfillment is really important too. And I literally saw a video earlier today of a woman crying on TikTok about how even if her salary increased to £200,000, it wouldn't be enough for her to stay. Like she was just so unhappy, so unfulfilled in her current job. And as someone who quite literally, I think probably makes 10 times less than that in my job as a doctor, because for the Americans amongst us, doctors in the UK do not earn very much. Like we earn a fraction of what you guys earn. I was just like, wow, that is so interesting. And honestly, what I've come to learn speaking to my mum and a couple other people who've worked in like corporate environments for a very long time, the reason why some of these jobs pay you so much, Like the reason why it's a 6-figure job or a multi-6-figure job is because they are paying you for your life. Like they're paying you so that at 7 p.m. on a Saturday or at like 9 p.m. on a Sunday, like if they call you and say, do this PowerPoint, finish this presentation, you will do it. Like that cost of the salary really does come at a cost of your life. They are really going to demand so much from you. And again, this is a tough one because there's not many role models for this. Maybe you look at your parents and they seem somewhat happy or okay with what they do. They make comments like, oh, it pays the bills, or can't complain, at least I have a job. Or maybe you have parents that very overtly, you can tell they hate their jobs. And you can tell that they only do it because it's stable and it pays the bills. I'd say that I somewhat have actually a good role model when it comes to careers from my mum, because she works in management in a big company in the UK, and she actually really does enjoy what she does. She works in a corporate environment, which at times has its moments, but generally is kind of okay. And she's built up the thick skin to be able to put up with corporate work life now. And I find when I do come to her with challenges of like, mum, like this happened at work today, like I don't know if I can do this, like this is surely not healthy, like surely like I shouldn't have to put up with this for the rest of my career. She's very helpful and supportive in telling me that like you shouldn't just have to accept what you can get. You shouldn't accept poor behavior or poor treatment. Build up a safety net now, and if you want to make plans for a future career change, then you can do that. You don't have to just stay where you are. And again, like other role models, when it comes to friendships and relationships and all the other things I've spoken about, sometimes when you don't have role models, no one to kind of give you a real life picture, not a social media picture, but a real life tangible picture of, okay, this is what is normal and this is what is like okay. You can go looking online for guidance, like so many of us do. Like I can't even count the amount of times I've typed in on Google, is it normal to hate your job? Because that is something that has run through my mind for the last couple of months. When you go looking online, sometimes you're met with a lot of helpful advice. Maybe that's how this video has popped up. I don't know. But a lot of the times when you are looking at people's lifestyle, so many of the negative and downsides are missed out. So then you're left thinking that all these questions you have for yourself, all this overwhelm, is this all normal? Like, are other people this uncertain about their future? But I am here to tell you that that is completely normal. I can't even imagine all of the thoughts that you've probably had, I am also having right now as a 24-year-old, feeling somewhat lost, confused, and a little bit uncertain about what the future holds. If you made it this far into the video, wow, I've literally been talking for nearly an hour and a half. I don't know how I'm going to cut this video down, but wish me luck. I've got a week and a half to do that before this has to go up. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate and love you guys so much. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are.